Good morning. Happy Tuesday. It was a nice President's weekend. Nothing bad happened in the world, but we do have some, at least not on my end, right? Maybe on your end, from the guy who spent the weekend visiting family at the hospital. But hey, if you have your health, you have your wealth. And speaking of wealth, we're getting grain markets going a little bit to the upside. That's nice to see, but we're going to need to do this about 10 more days straight just to get back about quarter halfway to where we were. So the reality has set in that grain prices are much lower than a year before. We're pretty much establishing crop insurance prices. And we have some news in the outside markets. The NASDAQ's taking it on the chin. Uh, Definitely looks like the stock market is starting to slow down, or at least not have as explosive upside. We have some interesting earnings this week. I want to say that we might have Nvidia reporting this week, and that is the hottest, most talked about, heaviest search stock out there. With that, we have a good show lined up. It wasn't hard to put together today's show because a lot of good charts and graphs just came out from other people. Real quick before we get in the show, we got a real special guest today. I'll give you a little taste of who that is. But my boy, Kurt Struber, he is a wonderful public speaker. He is in Bettendorf, Iowa. One of my advanced trading mentors, one of the guys who got me in the business, Kurt Struber, is speaking today in Bettendorf, Iowa. You still have time to run out and go see them. The good folks at Liquid Grow are doing lead seminar. Kurt's out there giving a good meeting. If you miss Kurt speaking in public, don't worry. It's on the YouTube page. Also, for myself, Tom Grisafi, Brady Huck, Connor Bridgman, Joe Grisafi, if you need a virtual public speaker in the next 6 weeks, hit us up. Call the number. We can get there. I'm pretty much booked up now for the month, the end of February and March for speaking in public, but we can do virtual. I did one the other week. It worked just fine. No cost to you, and we don't have to leave our home. So with that, who do we have on the show? Oh, here we go.
Brady Huck, Dodge City, Kansas. Contributor, ATI ProMedia.
If they only knew how hungover you were when you filmed that. Brady Huck, Dodge City, Kansas. We were supporting the bourbon industry that day.
We definitely did.
If you want to make money in corn, you need to turn it into bourbon. Matter of fact, we enjoy our bourbons here. So with that, what do we have? We have an action-packed show.
We do. Yep. Tommy. Well, yeah, Capital One buys Discover. Flash that up there.
Yeah, that was interesting. So I noticed that come across the headlines this morning on CNBC. And the reason, Brady, I thought that was interesting is because everyone keeps saying that the consumer's in so much trouble, right? And Capital One, I remember when the big shuffle happened back in '08 when you're too young. There was a company called Wachovia. Capital One bought that. I can go over 20 companies that don't exist anymore that were all shuffled, rebundled, and put together with the strong hands back in '08. Anyway, when I wake up and I see Capital One by Discover Card, I found that very interesting. They will know exactly what shape the consumer's in. So keep that in mind. Just something fun to talk about. Stocks are a little lower today. And let's get in these slides. I'm super excited about the deck you put together. Well, you don't want me getting the slides. I got to read the news. Hey, what happened here?
Flash sale, Tommy. Export sale. Back for business. Japan in to buy some corn. Philippines in to buy some meal. That's always good to see. We love to see these flash sales. It's a time of year where we need to be seeing these.
How can you not, Brady? We think it cost the average farmer last year five and a quarter to grow a crop in corn, and they're selling it to the world for $4 cash. Don't let your wife know, but corn was on sale, right? If she saw corn on Amazon, she'd be buying it just because it was on sale. Just like my kids, hey, Dad, it was on sale. Well, corn's
Saved
on sale
20% today, Tommy. I saved 20% today.
Yeah, and you can't eat shoes. So unlike Amazon, the world does need to be fed. Animals need to be fed, as you know, someone who would know as much about rations as anything else. So I was hoping when we saw the strength this morning and overnight, we did have some bearish news rumors. But I have to tell you, Brady, some weekends I like to watch the shows, the weekend shows.
Yeah.
I watched them all this weekend.
Really?
And every guest and every analyst and every host, they're very good at what they do. And I respect them all. But I got to tell you, they all said the same damn thing. Like, just hit rinse, repeat, and go. And the reason that is most of us, all of us, get our numbers from the USDA. And pretty much everyone just regurgitated, spit out, and said what we already know. And what I want to know is what don't we know?
Exactly.
And I know this is that no one sends an email when things change. And I have to tell you, I also listened to a couple other podcasts where someone became incredibly bearish And so I'm thinking this person's had a show for years and they could have sold all the corn they wanted the last few years. But then on one of the biggest breaks in recent history, they get really bearish and tell you to get forward sold on corn. Kind of
Now,
seemed odd to me. Yeah. But
right
anyway,
now. Yeah.
we'll see how this movie ends. Yeah. That's not to say corn can't go lower. We've run the numbers in advance and you know it can go lower. Anyway, corn's on
Yep.
sale. Corn can go lower. But when things are cheap and every weekend show says it looks really grim, please
Yeah. Which
stand
way's
by,
the boat
right?
tipping? Absolutely. And speaking of
Right.
that, Tommy, we got funds big time short in the market, right?
Hmm.
Let's throw that up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Beans,
Look at that. Want to talk about that a little bit?
yeah, big bean short in the market. They're seasonally can certainly go lower, like you said. But funds have been on one side of the boat there, and their short positions are probably in a pretty good spot. They probably got strong hand if they sold beans at $12 and it's at 11.50. They're sitting in a good spot. Going to take a little bit to get squeeze them out. Then you look at the corn side of things. I envision we'll have a record corn short on the next COT report next week. That'll get printed unless we're up 10 today or something. Um, but
Just
absolutely
for
funds.
reference, we're up 2.5 in corn. We're up $12 in beans. Wheat's up 9 to 15. KC wheat, your boys, KC, up 15. Feeders 100 lower, cattle unchanged. Um, let's talk about these state of Illinois charts that you found. Very impressive. And talk about this a little bit.
You bet. Yeah. Well, Farm Doc did a great webinar over the weekend. I think it was yesterday. They did the webinar and flashed a couple graphics here that were of interest. Break even in Central Illinois for corn 518, 1222 on beans. Some rough numbers they threw out there, well above the current price we have right now on the board. Then the next one of interest here in Central Illinois, beans $100 acre advantage over soybeans. And we kind of saw that last week a little bit with the planting intentions or the outlook for them, right, Tommy?
Hmm. Yeah. And sometimes it seems too obvious, right? I mean, we want to protect profits. And if you're telling me there's still a profit for some growers and beans that has to be protected, I have to tell you, Brady, for some reason, it's easier to convince farmers to protect corn because the cost of the option is so much less. But when
Yeah,
you take how many more you need them, so if you need 2.5 corn options to equal one bean, say, for example, for simple math, because you and I are pretty simple guys, right? Say you
very
need to
simple.
spend 15 cents to protect downside in corn, and say the corn to bean ratio's 3 to 1. It's not, but just say it is. Then
Mm-hmm.
it would mean you'd probably need to spend 45 cents to cover the same dollar amount in the beans. And
Dollars
for,
per acre. Yeah, the
right,
clear
it's
production per acre. Mm-hmm.
just math. And for some reason, it's much easier for a farmer to call and buy 20 corn puts or protect corn than it would be to, do 7 or 8, 6, 7, 8 bean puts. I don't know why the big number scares people. Like, would you rather own 3 pickup trucks that cost 15 grand each, or would you rather own the $45,000 one? I'd rather, I guess it's half of the, three.
I can only drive one at one time, Tommy. So
Yeah, but your
that's
your boy's getting older. He's 5 and out in the farm. That
and I
means he's
don't
got
want
a
a
permit. Right.
$50,000 pickup truck for them
Yeah.
to drive around.
Yeah. Real quick, the math of that's impressive. And if anyone needs that slide deck, we'll gladly send that to them. Do we
Mhm.
have anything else, Brady?
What do we got? Oh, yield just keeps climbing and climbing and climbing higher. What about this chart, Tommy? What's it tell you?
Tells me that the American farmer is awesome. Technology's changed. I'll say it again. Joe will make a YouTube short out of it. Let's farm. Let's market grain and pretend we don't suck, because we don't. We are the best farmer in the world. We have access to the best machinery, the best equipment, the best technology, the best genetics. It all comes from the United States. There's a reason everyone's trying to steal our stuff. Occasionally, there is a piece of equipment that comes from Germany that's pretty awesome. But overall, we just had the National Farm and Machinery Show, and all those people who went to that show, they didn't go there to get worse at farming. And I got to tell you, I follow some of these social media influencers. They have been complaining about the price of the corn. They've been so busy holding up their phones and doing TikToks and everything else. And some of these influencers, no kidding, folks, if you're not doing well farming, become a farm influencer. It's a 7-figure job. I'm serious. So there's a group of 5, 7 people who are making 7 digits being farm influencers. They're always talking about how they forgot to sell their crop. Silliest thing ever. I I don't even know what to say. Not one of them's called and asked me for help. I even contacted a few of them and said, "I'll do your brokerage for free, but you have to take our suggestions. And oh no, I'm just going to be a straight cash seller. So anyway, reel up some TikToks, get her going because you're going to need it. If you continue to forget to sell your grain in this high cost production market, you're going to continue to have trouble, Brady. And I know I sound like a smartass, but I'm all revved up, brother. What else?
Well, it makes sense though, and
Oh,
it's nice
geez,
to have
look at
that
this one. We're
off-farm
getting
income.
we're in trouble here. Big fan here. $100 advance to beans, but I'm hard pressed to find a guy switching acres to beans in Central Illinois at this time.
I buy it.
Yeah, that Connor B, longtime friend, fan of the show. Maybe someday we'll see him
I
on it.
remember that guy.
I remember that guy. He used to show up to work. All right. Speaking of work, we're going to be home all this week. I am going to be in Bloomington, Illinois, which I call home away from home at Advanced Corporate. Advanced Trading, a big group of us will be traveling to Commodity Classic next week. I'll be speaking. We'll have a little pop-up card for that tomorrow, letting you know what time, what our booth is, and we'll get things going. I have to say, I have met some really great people at Commodity Classic. Of all the farm shows, I've truly met people who were strangers, who became clients, who became friends. I've been to their weddings, I've been to their funerals, and I love working with the American producers. So, Brady, if someone wants to work with us when we're not playing TV stars, as I hear you do a lot lately, how do they get a hold of us?
Well, they give us a jingle on the old phone, 1-855-737-FARM, or shoot us an email at info@atipromedia.com and catch us live at 9 here every day.
You know what I did, Brady? You're going to be so embarrassed. Keep talking because I can't find oh, there it is. I couldn't find the closing button.
The
Hey,
buttons.
this is how the sausage is made, right? So not everything goes well. We'll have a great blooper reel. Before we go, is there any more questions or comments? I know last week we gave away a flag. We're not giving one away today, but listen to the episodes. The second we tell you to call the number, and the first person that calls the number will get a United States flag. And to our friends up in Canada, you know what? A Canadian guy called last week and
Yeah.
won the American flag. What's that
Oh.
tell you, brother?
That's a good news. That's a good sign. I love it.
See you, Brady. Great job.
Thanks for joining us. We're here every day, 9 a.m. Central. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.